Hi, welcome to the Handyverse and the third part of our laundry room makeover. There was obviously a toilet in this area at one point. Today we're going to be removing the old plumbing and getting this area ready to put down some new flooring. Stick with us. The first thing we're going to be doing is removing the old cold water line feed, and I'm going to cap it with this here. It's an end cap from a company called Sharkbite Plumbing Solutions. And the idea behind this is it's just a push-on fitting as opposed to something that has to be soldered on. And I just wanted to test it out and see how well it works. I'm a little skeptical, but we'll try it out and make sure it doesn't leak. So the first thing we want to do is shut off the water down here, and then I'm going to open some taps upstairs to help it drain as much as possible before we get down here. And then I'll open this valve down here and drain as much as I can out of the line. And then I'm going to go around to the other side of the wall and just use a pipe cutter to cut this pipe, but leaving enough space to install the end cap. That seemed way too easy to put on there. I'm going to be a little bit terrified turning that water back on. Well, there it goes. It's on there now. It seems to be completely dry, so there's a +1 for this Sharkbite end cap. Seems to work really well. Alright, now with that drain line out, we need to focus on getting rid of this guy. The old yogurt container solution isn't going to cut it, although I will admit it's quite clever. They drove a yogurt container in and then sealed around it to plug the hole. So I was originally thinking I was going to flush cut this and then try and plug it from the inside, but thanks to Robbie T in the second part of this video series, he made the suggestion that I could cut this concrete out around and then cap it and then fill it flush with new concrete. So that's the approach I'm going to take. Thanks again, Robbie. And I'm going to start by drilling some holes around the outer edge. Now I'm going to use a hammer drill to drill some holes here to make it easier to chip away the concrete. On these here, I'm going to drill them not straight down on the line, but on an outward angle like that, away from the pipe. And the reason for that is that when I pour some concrete in to fill it, the new pour will be undercut in below the old concrete, and it'll resist the urge to pop up when it's hardened. So I'm just going to reduce this angle a little bit and drill holes around this perimeter, and then drill some more holes in around here. I got the depth gauge set to 2 inches so I make sure I don't go any deeper than I need to. And here goes. Sometimes when you're doing DIY projects, things go off the rails a bit. It happens to us too. This project was no exception. It was a very good example of it. I quickly found out that the chisel I was using wasn't going to cut it. I went out and I got a cold chisel to help hammer out the concrete, and you can see that worked a lot better. But my idea of drilling the holes around the perimeter didn't work as well as I hoped, and you can see where it started to crack outside of the circle that I created. No matter, kept going. The next problem I ran into was that the pipe, as soon as it went down below the concrete, actually increased out to a 5-inch radius. At that point I decided to change the plan on how I was going to do this. I decided to try and flush cut it and plug it from the inside. The problem with doing that was then the top piece doesn't allow my grinder to get in deep enough to cut it off. So I had to use the reciprocating saw, cut the pipe off higher, and then use the grinder to cut it down flush. Well, not quite flush, actually just below the surface of the concrete. And then I took a regular end cap for a 3-inch pipe, and it had a 3.5-inch diameter. The inner diameter of the pipe in the floor is 3.5 inches. There was a bit of a press fit in there, so I cut a few notches out of the sides of the end cap, and then I basically just hammered it in to plug the hole. That allowed me to pour some concrete in there, get that flush, and let it dry. And now this section is ready for some flooring to go over top of it. This maybe wasn't the most elegant solution to the problem, but it's done, and on to the next part, which is framing the walls. You know, that's the way it goes sometimes when you're trying to do things around the house yourself. You need to maybe not get perfection, but get it done. And that's what I feel like we did here. If you want to see the next video, hit subscribe, hit like, and we'll see you in the next video.